Okay, I'm trying this again. Let's see if this works. I was trying to turn my phone sideways. Okay, I think this is gonna work this time. Finally. Okay, I'm waiting for share. We're gonna talk about sugar. All the things about sugar today. And let me tag her too. How do I do that? I think there's a way to tag her somehow. Add. Here we go. Oh no, I don't know. Still learning about how this whole thing works. And I want to try to add her if I can. Oh, good. There you are. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Okay. We're together. So I was going to start with telling you how this whole thing started, and then I thought, well, I haven't even told you this, so I'll wait. So I put that post up a couple days ago when anybody wanted to do a no sugar October. It was totally on a whim, and I got so much response that I was like, oh man, like now I have to do this. And then I started talking about it, and people were like, yeah, like we really need this, we really need the group. So I feel kind of like convicted that I've got to do it. So here we are. I've been meaning to do a live all week though, talk about it, and I haven't done it. So I'm so glad you decided to join me because I think you have some really valuable information, some different perspectives on this that I would not have shared that I want to hear. I'm excited.
Oh, happy to. Do I have a quick technical question? I look weird on the side. If I did that, would that be weird?
You're sideways.
Okay.
Why do you look weird?
All right. Well then, well, maybe not to you, but to me, it's fine. Nope, I'm good. If you think I look fine, then I'll stick with it.
You look good, as always.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I just feel I'm way off. I'm not used to it. Okay. But we're good. Let's get
all right. So sugar. Okay. So I had somebody who commented that giving up anything 100% is bad, and I totally agree. Usually, like when I diet, or well, I don't really diet anymore, but anytime I've ever tried to do a diet, if I do something like that's all the way where I have to give up a whole food group, it ends up being that I want that food group more, and then I just doesn't stick to it, and it becomes a train wreck. But I believe that the sugar is toxic. So sugar in general, we don't need it. There's nothing good about it. It's toxic to our bodies. It increases inflammation. It increases, when you increase inflammation, you increase your aging. That's how people gain weight, because sugar is just stored as fat. It's terrible for you. It causes your insulin spikes. When your insulin goes up, then your fat goes up as well. It's just terrible all around. And we have an epidemic. You might want to talk about this. There's an epidemic of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, I think, in this country, because sugar is added to everything. It's in all the things that we don't even know it's in.
And people don't realize what our body has to do to process it. And so when it sneaks into all those extra things, our body around the clock is trying to process sugar versus choosing to have, I'm going to have a treat. I think we sometimes think that we're only processing sugar when we interpret something as a treat. But when like you're saying, when it's in everything and we don't know it, our body's working so hard all the time to process sugar.
Yes. So I think the focus is less on like giving up sugar, but more on real foods and eating foods that are good. Because I know some people ask, like, do we have to give up fruit? No, fruit is different. Fruit is a real food. It's processed in your body differently. We know that there's different levels of sugar, right? There's fruit, there's high fructose corn syrup at the other end of the spectrum, and there's sugar. But sugar and high fructose corn syrup and all of those additives are terrible for us. So I want to talk about getting rid of sugar and doing it the easy way, because I was just telling Cher this. I went to look for my 21-day sugar detox book, and I remembered when I went to look for it, I gave it away because I knew that I couldn't do it. I knew it. Like I looked at the book and was like, I could never give up sugar before Plexus. And this is not a Plexus advertisement, but it is about how I personally could have never given up sugar had I not balanced my blood sugar first. So people ask me all the time, do I have to change my diet when I start Plexus? And I always tell people to let your diet follow. So when you balance your blood sugar and you balance your hormones and you balance your body and you add nourishment to your body, it no longer craves those foods anymore. But then the next step is to follow those food cravings, change your habits, and work on changing those dietary habits and not eating it as much anymore.
Well, and that's such a big deal, because how often do people feel like they can't change their habits because their cravings are so intense? I had a doctor tell me years ago that she feels so bad for her patients who literally think they don't have willpower. They're so convinced they don't have willpower, and they think that diets don't work with them. They're not disciplined enough, and there's a lot of personal self-shame about the inability. And she says, if you don't detox your gut, that bad bacteria and yeast and fungus overgrowth will win
It
every
does.
time. Your cravings don't have a prayer. So you can't change those bad habits unless you detox the very thing that's making those cravings so extreme. And then, but just to your point, when you have done the steps and notice the cravings are gone, now it's on you. Follow those cues. If you're not obsessing about sugar, then don't do it out of habit. But think of all the time before that you could have never broken that habit because the cravings were so strong. So be glad
Yes.
that, oh my gosh, okay, what can I do as a new, what can I replace an old habit with?
Yes.
You know,
No,
so
I think that's a great point. Yeast overgrowth causes such severe cravings. I always kid about the lady and like the
yeah.
mom in the pantry who's eating cookies, like shoving her face full of cookies. That was totally me. So
I was chocolate
yeah,
chips. Yeah.
yeah. But that's, you know, that's your blood sugar being low and you needing to quickly raise it. And it's also the yeast overgrowth in your gut that is just screaming and crying for to be fed. And so getting rid of both those things and balancing your body, adding the nourishment it needs, man, I can't say it enough. I say it every day, but it is so life-changing and freeing in having normal cravings for normal foods and not obsessing over sugar anymore. I just can't explain how freeing it is.
And you just made me think of something. Not, I think sometimes, at least I'll speak for myself, when I would hear people talk about not having sugar and just say how much better it is for their body, there was a little bit of a disconnect for me that I want to address here. I assumed that it would be really, really hard all the time, that they're just being really optimistic and cheerful and saying how great they felt, but it would still be like a constant
Right.
struggle. I really want to overemphasize, I don't just have better energy or better sleep or better mood. Everything is enhanced when you remove that toxic sugar. It's enough to make you glad you did. We're not just saying, oh, you'll be glad you did. Like, you will honestly feel so much better. And if you write down all the list of complaints that your body is dealing with, and then you begin to cross them off as you're balancing your gut and your sugar cravings are gone, you will sound just like us.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
anyway.
And I think it's important too to mention that when I research processed foods and what some of those food additives do to our bodies, they affect the way our hunger is, the way we feel hunger, our ghrelin and our leptin. And so some of the people I think that are not able to control their hunger, I think it has a lot to do with the hormones that are being affected by the foods we're eating. So even if you've been on Plexus for 5 years and you feel like you have those balanced hormones and everything's balanced, we still need to make those changes, those dietary changes. So Plexus is a tool to help you make those dietary changes that you know you need to do to make sure that everything else is working the way it should, to make sure your energy is up because you're not eating as much sugar, and to make sure that you're feeling all the feelings you need to be feeling, because sugar affects how we feel. It affects how our bodies feel every day. And so it affects our brains even. I mean, it affects so much in our body, our energy level. So getting rid of it is going to be great. And so I also want to talk about alcohol at some point, because getting rid of our sugar and our alcohol both are very necessary. So no sugar October.
Go ahead and talk about that. I think that's good.
Yeah.
No, do that. Okay. Talk about that, because it's no sugar. And then what'd you call it? Sober October?
Yeah, sober October, no sugar October. I'm encouraging everyone who, if you're a drinker, you drink a glass of wine or a bottle of wine every day. I'm encouraging you to please consider giving that up as well, because it does affect your body in the same kind of ways. It affects your sleep. My gosh, it affects your sleep in a negative way. It affects your insulin. It affects your mood. It affects your energy level the next day. All of those things are affected. And so there's some, I actually might put in the comments some resources that I have on some of those things. But I just think there's multiple ways you can give up sugar. You don't have to do any of the Plexus stuff. You don't have to do anything to balance your blood sugar or your hormones or anything, or get rid of the yeast overgrowth. But it will be harder. And I personally couldn't have done it. It's sad to say. Okay, you talk about your stuff. Tell me about some of the reasons that you want to do it, and talk about balance for later and for now.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, why I would do no sugar October. So people ask me all the time if I'm sugar free, and I always say no. I am not sugar free at all. I don't think that you have to be sugar free. When my cravings went away and I no longer obsessed about sugar, I came to understand the sweet taste and what it should mean versus what it had meant, because there are sweet things. You touched upon fruit. So many things in nature are sweet. I always give the example that the very first taste we had, which was mother's milk, is like nectar. It is so sweet. So we have to understand the sweet flavor is not the enemy here. It's the amount of crazy sugar that we have in a horrible form and in an addictive form that we're talking about. But there are things in life that are sweet. And I came to understand what it should be and what that does mean. And I get it from really great sources, but I'm also a real person. If my husband and I go to our favorite restaurant and I like a particular dessert, we might get it and share it just because we want to taste it. We have a couple bites and I'm no longer fighting for him, like to push away him
Right.
from
Me
getting more
either.
of it, you know? Like it's just like it's no big deal. But I couldn't even tell you how often I have a treat anymore. But you know, if I'm at a wedding, I
Right.
have wedding cake. Like, but so there's kind of this balance of not obsessing, not thinking about it, not needing it, but also understand that yes, there are things in life that are sweet, and they're actually really good for you. Things that are sweet. Some of my favorite things in nature are sweet. So understanding what you can have and what you want. When my blood sugar balanced, when my gut healed, I was no longer obsessing and having to literally think about or discipline myself and try to hold back on or any of those things anymore. I would just was able to make healthy choices and live life and trade out some former rituals, nighttime rituals, habits with healthier choices. But everything felt so much better. It was totally worth it. And Tori knows it's no joke. I used to get up out of bed to rummage through the pantry for the chocolate chip bag. That was my thing. And I'm mostly a baked goods girl. But when I say that, it's because that was a quick, immediate
Yes.
sugar that I could get, you know, right away. So why would I give that up? Why would I, if I'm not sugar free, do a no sugar October? Couple of reasons. For one, never a bad idea to do a sugar reset. Never, because it inches into our life in so many forms. Sometimes doing something that's like, okay, no sugar for a month helps you really realize how much you were consuming, even a person like me who thinks I don't
Yes.
consume much. So just a smart reset. We also love the idea of doing it in October. Well, we all know that Halloween kicks off massive sugar season between all the way
Yes.
through. It used to be Valentine's Day and now it's St. Patrick's Day. It just
Yes.
pushes through straight sugar. Um, so smart to do that reset pre the holiday seasons. Really, really great idea. And then just further for me, the discipline. And I know Tori will talk about this too, but I love the idea of giving something up, doing a discipline, because I have found in my life that if I do something disciplined that might seem extreme, but for a short spell of time, it spills over into every area of my life. Just every area of my life is a little sharper, a little more aware, a little more sensitive to choices. And I love the concept of that. So that's kind of what we
Yes.
talked
No,
about
I
and
think it's
jumping
great.
on
And I
board.
think anyone who's religious has talked about some kind of a fast. And just
Yep.
anytime you get take something away and you sharpen
Mm-hmm.
your faith a little bit. And so you can use it that way if you
Yeah.
want to. If you're not a faithful person, that's okay. It can just be discipline, right?
Yep.
Because when we sharpen our discipline, it bleeds over, like you said, into so many aspects of our life. And I
That's
think
right.
it's important for all of us to go through our cabinets and get rid of some
Yep.
things, um,
Totally.
and look see what's in there. And I think I heard the other day about 80-20 rule, you know, for this as well, right? Because it applies to life. But yeah, you can definitely do
Yeah.
like a little bit of sugar here and there afterwards. But like having the Halloween candy in the house all October, not being able to eat it, that'll help, right?
Yep.
Okay, what
Yep.
else did I want to talk
For
about? We talked
sure.
about additives. Oh, and we talked about let's talk about weight loss, because there's a lot of people I think that have already balanced their hormones or have worked on weight loss for so long, and they just know there's like that extra step they could be doing in discipline. And I think trying to sharpen a diet too much where you're trying to cut calories so much can be really hard on you mentally, and it can be hard on your metabolism. But just cutting out the stuff we know is bad for us, focusing on health and focusing on making sure we're feeding our bodies with the good things, I feel like that mentally is a better shift. Is weight loss, for the weight loss. And that's how
That's
I
right.
lost weight. I think, but I don't know if I
Yep.
can speak for you. You can tell your story. But for me, my weight
Mm-hmm.
loss with Plexus happened because my sugar cravings went away. So I mean, I was eating a ton of sugar, and it's not just the amount of sugar I was eating or the calories. It was the fact that my insulin was spiking like every 2 hours, which causes fat gain. And so
Yep.
the taking out the sugar, and I mean, if you substitute 2 or 3 cookies a day for a cup of green beans, there is a difference in calories, which is a difference in nutrition.
Yep.
And so obviously that was where my weight loss happened. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, yeah, just the weight loss alone, stored fat, like you were saying, is it's very scientific. And this is the part of what I learned so much from Tori all the time because she really can talk about the scientific data. A lot of my story was just a really great doctor who educated me on that. But stored fat is its own thing that really is, once you understand it, so avoidable, and it's something that you would choose. And we sometimes just feel like it's so daunting or confusing that we just kind of check out and just feel like, okay, I just have to go do this exercise or buy into this weight program. And understanding it, you really can avoid stored fat, and it's a really important thing to understand. Weight for me, I dropped, it's kind of hard to tell because I just had a baby, But and I gained a lot of weight with my pregnancies. My mom did. I do. I was not a poor eater during my pregnancies, but I'm talking 70 pounds. Like I gain a lot. My husband jokes and says I'm in the man weight. Like
Well,
seriously.
because you're
No,
tall.
I'm like,
You're
you're really
tall,
funny.
so.
Yeah, I am. But 70 pounds, still 70 pounds. I mean, no. And so I can drop half of that pretty quickly, nursing, delivery, a couple weeks to go by, the fluids and all that. But then I have to really work. And
Uh-oh, did we lose you? Okay, we might have lost her. Hopefully I'm still going. Okay, I can't see share, so hopefully I'm still going. So I'll finish up real quick. No Sugar October is going to start. I'm going to go ahead and do a group now very soon, so we can start talking about cleaning out cabinets and making those changes now, mentally making those shifts, and then as well as like physically starting to plan out how you want to do it. You can decide if you want to just give up sugar, if you want to give up sugar and alcohol. I encourage you, if you're an alcohol drinker, to consider giving up alcohol. And then you can also go a step further if you want to. We do this in our house where we've been working on really hard to get rid of all the refined carbs. We don't have any pasta or bread in our house. We don't have any gluten in our house anymore. So get rid of all of that. You can also take another step further and take out rice and potatoes. I mean, it's totally up to you. Usually people who go that far are on a GAPS diet for something related to health. So, you know, that can be your choice too, related to health. If you have some underlying health stuff that you want to work on, you can go as far as doing the GAPS diet, but pick a diet. If you want to pick a diet, if you want to do something that's like a keto diet or a paleo diet or a GAPS diet, I think some of those are kind of restrictive. And so it depends on you. Or just decide you're going to cut out all refined sugars or all refined carbs. I do think that fruit is fine. I think whole foods is fine. I think the focus on real foods that are not out of a box is a great idea. I think cutting out things like yogurt with added sugar and things like cereal bars and things like that, granolas and things like that that are filled with sugar, I think that's really important. Looking at labels or just trying to buy things without labels, you know, trying to eat real foods is a great focus. But do it how you want to do it, and then just decide how you're going to do it, and that's going to be your way. And I'll put the group up and start inviting all of you guys who commented that you want to do it, and share it away with your friends. I'll probably do a shorter video on what it is, just so you guys can share a quick short video maybe on your pages, and let me know what you need from the group. I think people said they wanted daily check-ins, and knowing that there is a group that's working on it together, knowing that you guys have a community will really help. And I also may drop some books in the links. There are a few different books that are great for 21-day sugar detoxes if you're into researching. And there's one for Christians that talks about focusing on prayer, and that can really help you with, you know, changing your mindset a little bit and using this as a fast. Oh, that's okay. I know Cher has to go. She wants to talk about Plexus hack. Oh, and giving up sugar. Oh yeah, she likes to use her hacks. So she's got some Plexus hacks where she will take an extra slim. She'll increase her Probio 5. And if she has some increased cravings going on, because as life ebbs and flows, sometimes you have increased cravings that come and go. But I think the main point that I wanted to talk about today is sugar's toxic, period. It increases inflammation. It increases disease and aging because of inflammation. It increases your fat gain. It makes your mood wonky. It does all kinds of terrible things for your energy and your mood. So it's bad for us. So cutting it out is great. And just let's focus on how we cut out the bad stuff and add in the good stuff. And if you want to do it the easier way, you've got Plexus to help, because honestly, balancing blood sugar, getting rid of the yeast overgrowth, getting your gut in balance is huge. I can't say it enough for making sure that you are balanced and that you have an easier time getting rid of sugar. I honestly can't say it enough. I could not have given it up before this, but now I don't crave it and it's totally good. And I can give up sugar in October without a problem. I'm excited about it. So it'll be the first time I've given it up for a long time. I still eat like a quarter cookie here and there when someone in my house brings it in the house, and or when we go to parties or whatever, but I don't need it. And so I'm excited about getting rid of it all the way. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or message me and we'll talk more, and I'll do a shorter video just of the basics later. Thanks so much, Cher.